All right, and now for the last part, let's talk about a bit of systems, right? So basically, system may be referred to any set of components which function in interrelated manner for a common cause or objective. So I'll just highlight the term interrelated. So we have a set of components, different parts, but they function altogether in interrelated manner. So they function as one. Okay, especially for a common cause or objective. So they are all there for the same objective. Okay, so in other words, a system has the following characteristics: organization, meaning the components are arranged in a certain way. Interaction, those components have at least a connection with some other components, some other fellow components. Interdependence, meaning um, one's input is most likely the previous one's output. Okay, so if you have the output at this point, then that output could be the input to the next one. So interdependence. Integration, they are integrated, meaning they are compatible with each other. They follow the same protocols, the same coding techniques, the same modulation techniques, and so on. Okay, and lastly, central objective. So they are all there for a certain application, right? So for example, when we say control system, um, we have the components, the control component, the input, processor, output, the feedback, and then we have the boundaries and interfaces. So as you can see, they are interrelated, right? They interact with one another, okay? They are interdependent. So for example, the output of your processor is the input of your output device or your plant. Okay, and the common or the central objective is to control something, right? So in the same way, in a signal processing system, we have these components. Okay, although it's kind of blurry. Okay, we have a processor as well. Okay, but before and after we have the converters. So normally the processor that we have are digital um, in nature, because they are mostly computers. So computers are digital systems. Therefore, the analog signals from the real world must be converted into digital form before they are being processed. Okay? And once they are processed, they will be converted back to analog form. Okay? Before they can be perceived by the outside world. Okay, so we have other components like the human interface components. We have the program and data storage, and even the modem for communication. Okay, so that's basically a system is, and systems have several properties. So when we are designing a system, remember our systems, our signal processing systems shape or determine the shape of our output. So there's a given input. It depends on our system's spectrum, uh, and then we come up with a certain modified signal as our output. Okay, so properties of a system. Um, okay, a system has memory if its output depends on past or future values of the input. So, um, remember, past or future. Okay, so if it depends on past or future values, then there's memory. Okay, so when we say causality, um, by the way, if it has memory, then it's dynamic. So if it has no memory, then it is static. Okay. So a system is also a causal if it depends on present values only. So causal, present values only. Non-causal if it depends on past and future values. Anti-causal if it depends on future values only. So causal, non-causal, anti-causal. Causal, present only. Non-causal, past and future values. Anti-causal, future only. Okay? Another thing, we have the time invariance. So this is a system is time invariant if a time shift in the input results in an identical time shift in the output. So, for example, this one is not time invariant because if we minus 1 here, then minus 1, we should have a minus 1 right here also. Okay? So, that's time invariance. For any time shift in the input of a system, the output will also have that same time shift. So minus 1 or minus 2 in the input, minus 1 or minus 2 in the output. Okay. Moreover, we have linearity. System is linear if it satisfies the properties of superposition, additivity, and homogeneity. So three things. So just imagine output should be 0 for 0 input, and there should be not be any nonlinear operator in the system. So this is quite a long process, a long story. Let's see if we have a slide for this. Okay. In the meantime, stability. Um, okay, this is one of our main goals or main focuses here, stability. So we want our systems to be stable. So how do we know a system is stable? Okay, if it meets the Bibo condition. Bounded input corresponds to bounded output. So if we have this input, so this is bounded because it does not go anywhere. Okay, it does not go up, does not go down. So stable, as just like this one, stable. This is stable because although it started off a bit off, it eventually goes closer and closer um to a fixed level. Okay. Another one is stable, although it started way off, it eventually get closer and closer to the stable level. Okay, marginally stable because this one is not it does not go far, but it never stays in the same level. Okay, it continues to shift or to deviate from the central level. Okay, now this is the problem: unstable. So this is something we don't want, unstable. For example, if the input is just straight line. So if our output is something like this is unstable because we can expect it will go upward forever. It will never go down. Okay, same thing here. It although it's oscillating, it goes back to the central part, but it oscillates more and more as time goes on. Okay, the oscillation increases. Okay, so the last two are something we should watch out for when we design our system. Okay, in addition to that, we have the invertibility. So a system is invertible if an inverse system exists that can uniquely recover the input from the output. So for example, if y of n is equals to g of x of n, there exists g of our inverse g such that inverse g of y of n is equals to x of n. So just imagine these two could be interchanged if g is equivalent or how do I say this? If the two are or let's say just imagine this. They are reversible or inversible if they switch places and the equation stays the same. Okay, the corresponding equation um is unchanged. Okay, so that's invertible, right? So we also study, as mentioned earlier, we study systems or signals and systems in terms of both time and frequency response. So for our systems, we look at the time response, which occurs when the output of a system for an input varies with respect to time. So it is that we check two things: the transient response and the steady state response. So this is especially when it comes to stability. So this one is the transient response, okay? Because it is way off the expected level. So this is the steady response because it starts to stay in our expected level. Okay. So among the four basic test signals, the impulse and the step signals are more commonly used as test signals for time response. And that's why we have such term as impulse response and step response. I mean, impulse response, we use impulse signals for the test, and then step response for we use step signals for the test. Okay, ramp signals and parabolic, as you can see, are unbounded, so we cannot test them for BIBO conditions. Okay. Also, much of our focus will be more on frequency response, or the quantitative measure of the output spectrum of a system that provides useful insights into its stability and performance characteristics. So basically, when we say frequency spectrum, we refer to how the system responses to sinusoidal inputs at varying frequencies. So in other words, much of our discussions will be in the frequency response uh, aspect. Okay, so we're going to learn more of this in the next modules. Right. So we have the LTI. Just imagine, just remember, um, the rest of our discussions will be assuming that we are talking about LTI systems only. Okay. So we have some assumptions that are applicable to LTI systems only. LTI, linear time invariant, meaning these are systems that meet the requirement to be considered linear and time invariance or time invariant at the same time. So LTI systems output for a linear combination of inputs are the same as a linear combination of individual response to those inputs. And the outputs do not depend on when an input was applied. So doesn't matter if um the shift, how much shift did we apply. Okay. So these systems are superior to simple state machines for representation because they have more memory of past states and can predict the future. So LTI systems, and basically much of our discussions will assume LTI systems. So these are some of the concepts that we are going to discuss in the next modules. We're going to look at discrete time systems um, in terms of their block diagrams, their difference equation, their impulse response, and how do we what 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 do we mean by convolution? And what are FIR and IIR filters, okay, that are basically dependent on impulse response and difference equations. So these are some of the things that we're going to explore in the next modules. Okay. So LTI, as mentioned, it has both linearity. It meets both linearity and time invariance properties. So LTI follows the principles of superposition, additivity, and homogeneity. Okay. So imagine this one, law of additivity. So okay. So if this is our input and first input and second input. Okay, if the first input corresponds to this output and this second input corresponds to this second output, then if we add those inputs, basically the output is just the combination of those two inputs. Okay, it's like if A equals to B plus C, I mean, uh, if A equals to B and C is equals to D, then A plus C is equals to B plus D. So something like that. If you know what I mean. Right. On the other hand, we have the law of homogeneity. So that's something to do with the coefficient. So for example, if our input is x of n and it comes up with this output y of n, then if we put a certain coefficient to our input, then that coefficient can be simply added to that output. Okay? So for example, if we have the equation is 5x, let's say the equation is x squared, okay? So x squared, and x squared produces y squared, okay? So therefore, if we have a coefficient of 5, so 5x squared equals to 5y squared. So that coefficient is the same with the output. Okay, and that's homogeneity. So if the system meets both of these, then we can consider that system to be linear. Okay, and superposition is somewhat complicated. Um, okay, it takes a lot of time. You can observe that illustration. Okay. Now, we have other properties of LTI systems. We have the time invariance, impulse response, causality, stability, frequency response, and then convolution. So these are just additional formal definition of some important terms. Okay, you can take a screenshot of this, right? And I guess that will be all for this module. See you in the next one. Thank you very much.